All right, AI founders, today we got a very relevant discussion point for you guys, which is, should you be doing PR or public relations? This is one of the most common questions I get.
I need answers.
When I'm advising AI and B2B SaaS companies, it is a question that almost every founder or CEO wants to know, and today we're going to dive into that.
SaaS CMO Pro.
All right, thank you so much for joining SaaS CMO Pro. My mission is to educate, nurture, entertain marketers, VCs, founders on modern SaaS and AI marketing. And a big question that I get often in my current role, I serve as a board advisor, board member for fast-growing AI companies, fast-growing B2B SaaS companies, is, Bill, we've been using this PR firm and we haven't gotten a lot from it. On our second or third one, we're paying a $10K, a $20K, a $30K retainer. I don't feel like we're getting a lot out of it. Should we be doing it? So if you have those thoughts, you're not alone. There are many, many other founders and CEOs that ask this question to me all the time. And being in marketing, I've been around PR a long time. In fact, my wife used to do high-tech PR. That's all she did. And so I would kind of hear it from multiple angles, right? I would hear it from a person that was practicing it. I would hear it a lot of times as the marketer or as the CMO. I'd also hear from, a lot of CEOs and founders that had done it or had been frustrated with it. And so let's go through the pros and cons. I definitely think that PR has its place. And I definitely think in some cases, you shouldn't be doing PR. So what I mean by that is, what you'll find a lot of times with PR is that a lot of it, the success you're going to have is going to come down to the CEO or the founder, right? And a lot of that comes down to if that CEO or founder is charismatic, is extroverted, is constantly on X.com and, tweeting away, is likes to draft off of current topics and trends in the industry, right? So a lot of the founders that I worked with, Mark Benioff, Mikkel, Stewart, were very much like that, right? They were constantly on social. They knew the latest trends. They were talking about it. A lot of times they would talk about polarizing topics and get a lot of engagement. They loved talking with press. In fact, they would build relationships with press. Right? So Mark would do that. He'd spend a lot of time in it. Stuart would do that. I remember Stuart would help out. I remember he was doing a writer once that was doing the history of emojis. And Stuart helped out there and he spent all this time building relationship with it. It wasn't even really like a Slack article per se. A, he was just a nice guy and he was helping out. But B, I think you need to that. You need to spend time to build these relationships. If you are that type of founder, if you like doing that stuff, if you're extroverted, if you want to talk about it, I think PR has an amazing place for you, right? And an agency, whether you do PR in-house or leverage an agency, that could be a core part of your playbook, for growth and for overall marketing. Now, on the flip side, what I found a lot of times in AI and B2B SaaS is a lot of the founders come from, the technical side. They're a product founder, they're an engineering founder. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes within that group, you may be the person that's a little bit more introverted, right? You don't like talking with press. You don't like the go-to-market stuff. A lot of times you've hired a CRO to do all that stuff, so you don't have to do it, which is fine. Focus on what you're good at. And, a lot of times that group just isn't the best for the PR motion. And that's fine, right? Some people, love to go to parties. Some people don't. They'd rather sit at home and watch Netflix. That's fine, right? And it's kind of the same with PR. You also have to kind of level up your expectations, right? Again, my wife used to tell me, sometimes these founders would come in and they're just like, look, I want to be on the Wall Street Journal, next week, front page, right? Or I want to be on the cover of Forbes or this or that, right? And you kind of have to come in with relevant expectations, right? You have to remember too that there are so many SaaS companies out there, so many companies, even in your little space, right? Usually you'll have 5 or 10 competitors. And here's the thing, when you go to TechCrunch or you read the headlines on TechMeme or wherever you're going, right? The biggest 5 companies are going to get 90% of the headlines, right? So, OpenAI and Microsoft and Google and Salesforce and, there's this select group of 5 or 10 companies that are going to get most of the headline and press. And then you have, and that remaining 10%, you have 20,000 other startups trying to get that headspace. They're trying to get that, those articles, that press, that coverage. And so you have to realize, you're fighting a tough battle. You got to be in it, right? And you can't be, a founder CEO that's like, oh, I'm hiring a PR agency. I don't have to work with them. I'm just going to, delegate that out and expect that you're going to get massive amounts of press, right? Like really the best ones, or at least I've seen for both the companies I work with and advise now, or the companies I've been a part of, is when the CEO, because a lot of times like that's the figurehead, right? Now down the road, yes, you develop other spokespeople and a larger brand beyond the brand of the CEO. But for a lot of the startups, the brand of the CEO is the company, right? And you have to kind of walk in if you want to go on a PR path and say, hey, I'm going to spend time. I'm going to meet with my PR team regularly. I'm going to know the top trends. I'm going to be posting a lot. I'm going to develop and build relationships, long-term relationships with each of these press and media members. And so, it's one of those like PR, you just have to walk in eyes wide open, right? In my experience, you have to kind of understand what you're good at, what you're not good at, right? And this can be significant because a PR agency, they will charge you 10, 20, 30K a month as part of the retainer.
It's a lot of money.
That's pretty significant, especially if you're in the early stages of your startup, right? And in marketing too, what you'll find is that you can do 50 different things. There's so many strategies and tactics that you can do. You do content marketing, you can do SEO, you could do PR, you could do analyst relations, you could do inbound, high velocity, PLG, you could focus on your messaging, you could focus on your multi-touch attribution modeling, you can do billboard ads, you can do, YouTube 6-second bumper ads. There's an unlimited amount of tactics out there. And sometimes what I've found too is that, a founder or CEO or head of marketing will try to do all of them. And they'll do them all very shallow and very crappily, to be honest, right? Like they're doing too much, right? And so PR is one of those things too. By doing it, there's an opportunity cost, both of those dollars, both of the marketing team, both of your time, right? And so I would really just recommend, think about hey, are you a good fit for this, right? In marketing, my advice is choose, 2 or 3, maybe 4 channels that you just want to get really good at and nail, right? And maybe PR is one of those, but realize hey, if you do it, you can't do something else, right? And also there's a cost on it. So anyways, I hope that was helpful for you guys. I'm just giving it to you, telling you how it is, right? As a CMO that's been there, as someone that's worked for AI and B2B SaaS companies, I've seen PR, corporate communications work amazing. And I've also seen it just basically just be a complete waste of money, right? Just not getting any coverage and, literally just burning money, throwing it down the toilet. So anyways, let me know your thoughts. Do you think most AI companies should be doing PR? Do you think it's selective for only certain people? I read the comments. I love this stuff. If you like this topic and want to see more videos like this, give a follow, give a like, give a subscribe to SaaS CMO Pro. That really does help out the channel. And as always, appreciate talking to you guys. And until next time, have a great day.